Kai is a below-average human who works for the Urza Foundation, and despite being too weak to actually do anything about it, he still wants to do everything he can to prevent another race war and maintain the peace of this world. One day, he finds a girl chained up on a sky platform, and from the way she looks, she's apparently half angel and half demon, and upon seeing him, she begs him to help free her. However, none of this makes sense to him since angels and demons have been at war with humans for a long time, yet she hasn't said even one racist insult towards him, so he knows something must be terribly wrong. Some time ago, Kai steps out of a car and uses a pair of binoculars to start his observation. Meanwhile, his teammates are sitting in the back of the car and they are bored out of their minds. They hate having to come out here and wait for Kai, but he always observes the graveyard for at least 100 seconds, so there's no way he'd stop in the middle of it. Centuries ago, there had been a long-standing war between the demons, the celestials, the spirits, mythical beasts, and humans, and the war causes a great deal of devastation. So Kai wants to make sure something like that never happens again. He is currently a part of the Urza Foundation, and he has an obligation to observe this graveyard, where the demons have been sealed away to make sure nothing goes wrong. After 5 minutes have passed, Kai puts his binoculars down and reports that no abnormalities have been spotted, so the demons are still properly sealed away. He heads back to the car and they all start heading back to base, but along the way, his teammate asks Kai why he needs to check the graveyard so often when no demons have managed to escape in the past century. Kai acknowledges that the graveyard is decently secure, but is part of their job as members of the Humanity Aegis Agency to make sure that the demons never get out. The girl understands his point, but the guy still complains that there are 3 other graveyard seals in the world, so their patrols are useless if they are only keeping track of this one. Kai assures him that the other graveyards are also being adequately monitored by other agents because humanity can't afford to let a demon get loose. So even if the world is currently at peace, Kai refuses to let his guard down. Back at the agency, Kai is doing some training with a mythical beast simulation. However, the system warns him that it is really dangerous for him to attempt to train with a simulation of this level, since he is certified trash. However, Kai ignores this warning and charges at the dragon before attempting to knock it off its feet. However, the system was right as his attack didn't even budge the dragon, so if this wasn't a simulation, he would have become dragon food. But luckily, Saki is there to turn it off before he gets hurt. She complains about Kai taking too many risks, but he justifies it by saying training is meant to be risky, otherwise he wouldn't be able to improve himself. With how hard Kai works, the girl jokes that his name would have gone down in history if he was around to fight in the War of the 5 Races. But unlike the prophet Sid, Kai knows he's not cut out for something like that. He honestly finds it hard to believe that a human could ever win against any of the heroes of the different races. They were immensely powerful warriors who led their races into battle. Vanessa of the demons, Alfreya of the celestials, Kyoko of the spirits, and Rathi of the mythical beasts. There's no telling what could have happened if those 4 were still around, but luckily, they were all defeated by the prophet Sid. However, that's just the story they've been told since there is no evidence that Sid or his golden sword even exists in the first place. The other heroes all have videos that prove that they were there, but strangely, there's nothing about Sid. Even with the lack of evidence though, people still like to believe that he exists because it is comforting. After that, Seki goes over to Ashran, who got knocked out by the dragon, and tells him to get up since they need to start thinking about their gift for Jin's promotion celebration. Ashran says they can just get her a bouquet of flowers or something, but Saki thinks that is too boring since everyone else will be getting flowers as well. Jin is getting transferred to the royal capital of Urzak for her exceptional abilities despite only being 17, so they need to get her a special gift for the occasion. Just then, Kai receives a message from Jin asking him to meet her tomorrow morning, and she specifically asks for this to be kept secret from Ashran and Saki, but they are already looking at the phone, so they start asking if he is dating Jin. And Kai doesn't want to answer any of their questions, so he just decides to run away. By the next morning, Kai is out waiting for Jin to arrive at their meeting spot, and she soon shows up, clearly having put a lot of effort into dressing up for the occasion. Kai is surprised that she actually showed up on time for once since normally he would end up having to wait at least an hour or so. Jin calls him rude for saying that, but she admits that she was extra careful to be on time for their date since she's going to be transferred soon. Just then, she notices that Kai is still in his uniform despite today being his day off, but that is just because Kai came here right after finishing his morning training, so he didn't have time to change. Kai is literally the only guy who would act so casual about going on shopping with her, but that's what she likes about him. The two of them proceed with the shopping, and while Jean is checking out some jewelry, Kai asks what the purpose of this shopping trip is, so she explains that she wants to get goodbye gifts for Saki and Ashran. She knows they are planning to get her a gift, so she wants to give them something in return before she goes since it might be the last time they ever see each other. Kai says she's exaggerating a bit since her transfer will only last 2 years, so she'd be back here in no time. but then Ashran and Saki would have completed their service as soldiers, so they would be civilians at that point. In fact, in 2 years, Kai and Jean are probably going to be the only soldiers left with the Human Aegis Agency. Kai tries to cheer Jean up by reminding her that she's been working hard so she can take over as the head of Urzak after her father steps down. She's been dreaming about it since she was a kid, so she shouldn't be sad about getting closer to her dream. After that, they go on with their shopping and have a fun time with one another, so by the time they are done for the day, Jin thanks Kai for agreeing to come with her since he made the trip a lot easier for her. While waiting at a stoplight, Jean recalls the time Kai went into the graveyard at the age of 10. He was there with Jean's father, but somehow he ended up falling into the realm where the demons had been sealed. And at the bottom, he could clearly see the fabled golden sword that belonged to Sid, but he doesn't like talking about it since no one would believe it. It was after this that Kai began his mission to ensure that demons would never be unleashed upon the world again, and he still feels the same way now, which is why Jean knows he is still going to be a soldier by the time she gets back. And on that note, she asks Kai if it's possible for them to become more than just friends after she returns, but in the middle of her confession, since there are no fireworks to interrupt her, reality begins to collapse. For some reason, Kai is the only one that can see crazy stuff that's happening, and before he can process what's going on, something called the World Reincarnation Order is executed, and he opens his eyes to find himself in a destroyed version of the city. He is confused at first, but his confusion quickly turns to fear as he sees a demon come around the corner. As soon as the demon notices Kai, it immediately starts casting an attack spell to kill him, so Kai is forced to block it with his weapon case. He managed to survive that initial attack, but the demon isn't done yet as it begins to charge up a secondary attack, so Kai makes a run for his gun, and as soon as he gets to it, he loads some of his special bullets and uses them to cancel out the demon's magic. The demon is shocked that a human was able to cancel out its magic, but it's all because his bullets are made with elven magic as their base, so it is enough to counteract demon magic. The demon tries something different and begins casting a spell at his feet, but Kai managed to jump out of the way and close the distance before firing a point-blank shot that incinerates the demon. Kai is relieved that his plan works since that last bullet is made in order to reproduce the effect of a dragon's fire, but he has never actually gotten to use it before. This is also his first time fighting a demon, so he's glad he was able to move like he does during training. He just needs to hope he doesn't run into a dragon though. All of a sudden, Kai hears a voice coming from behind him, so he turns around and finds another demon staring at him and wondering how a filthy human could have possibly managed to defeat a demon. Kai raises his gun and asks why the demon is able to speak the human language if it detests humans so much, so the demon says he found it easier to order around his human slaves by speaking the language. Kai is shocked to learn that humans are slaves in this world, but the demon refuses to elaborate further and says it will get rid of Kai immediately since he seems pretty dangerous. The demon is about to fire a powerful spell at Kai, but at the last second, someone throws a flashbang, and while the demon is blinded, they pull Kai into a car and speed off. Inside, Kai is surprised to find out that the girl that saved him is actually Saki. Saki says she has never met him before, so she's not sure how he knows her name, and no matter how much Kai insists that they know each other, she still doesn't remember him, and neither does Ashran. Saki and Ashran assume Kai must be having a psychotic episode because of the demon attack, but he genuinely knows them and can't believe they've forgotten about him. He tries telling them that they were on the same team in the Humanity Aegis Agency, but Saki has never heard of the agency and says she's a soldier in the human resistance. Kai has no idea what Seki is talking about, so he asks them to explain what happened in this world. They tell Kai that in the War of the Five Races, humans ended up losing. 30 years ago, the other 4 races took over the world, so humanity was nearly eradicated. And the ones that did manage to survive were all forced to run and stay hidden. Kai is slowly starting to put the pieces together and realizes that this place is the city of Vashel after it had been destroyed. Kai is led down into an underground tunnel while Ashran explains to him that the cities all over the world have been claimed by the 4 other races, and they mostly fight among themselves to claim new territory now. This city in particular was taken over by the demons, which is why humans had to move underground in order to survive. They took some of the underground spaces that were still intact and remodeled them to become a safe haven for humans. This way, they can keep other humans safe and organize troops to fight back against the other races. Kai stops for a moment and asks why humanity lost the war, but Saki and Ashran think the answer is pretty obvious since no humans could possibly defeat a demon on their own, and on top of that, all the races have absurdly powerful heroes, so humans stood no chance. Kai is aware of how powerful demons and the other races are, but humanity was able to win in his timeline because of the prophet Sid, so he asks the 2 of them what happened to him. However, they've never heard of anyone by that name. Kai tries to explain that Sid is meant to be a human hero who defeats all the other races, But he obviously doesn't exist in this world, since humanity wouldn't be forced to live underground if they had someone like that to fight for them. Just then, they hear a commotion nearby, so Saki and Ashran realize that the main corp must be back, so they explain to Kai that there are many underground human cities around the world, and each one has their main corp that defends them. Here, the commander is the one who protects everyone, and Kai can't believe what he is seeing as the commander turns out to be Jane. Jane is greeted by Saki and Ashran, and they tell her about how they found Kai out on the surface, so they brought him inside. Jane compliments them on their good work and walks past Kai, showing no recognition whatsoever. Kai can't accept that Jane doesn't remember him, so he tries to remind her that they were literally shopping together a few minutes ago, but Jane has no recollection of this, so she says she's just going to leave. Before she goes, Kai asks why she's acting like a man when her dream was always to surpass her father as his daughter, and this statement makes her pause for a moment, but Kai is quickly stopped from saying anything more to her. That night, Kai spends his time looking through the records of this world, and everything is the same aside from the fact that all records involving him or the prophet Sid do not exist anymore. However, something still doesn't make sense to him, since if Sid never existed in this world to seal away the other races, then why do the graveyards he created still exist? To investigate, Kai heads over to the graveyard the next day and finds that the blockade stone that was meant to keep its seal has been removed, so he heads inside and discovers the golden sword of Sid inside. He walks up to it and grabs the sword, at which point he hears a voice telling him to never relinquish the sword, because it is the world coordinate key, otherwise known as the code holder. The sword then opens a gate which transports Kai to a mysterious platform, and upon climbing the stairs he finds the half-angel, half-demon girl chained up. Kai is having a hard time figuring out what race this girl is, but then the girl tells him her name is Rin and pleads to be saved once more before passing out. Kai approaches the girl, and he's still debating whether he should help her or not. But Kai mainly hates demons, and she doesn't look like a demon, so against his better judgment, he decides to free her. He tries using his sword to slash the chains in half, but the chains are too tough and show no signs of damage whatsoever. Next, he tries using his bullets, but even that isn't enough to get the chains off. He doesn't know what to do anymore since he doesn't have any other weapons on him, but then he recalls that he's still got that special sword, so he tries recalling what it was called and says the words code holder out loud. As he does this, his gun sword begins to transform into the golden code holder, and Kai can't believe he is really holding the sword Sid used to save humanity in his timeline. He raises the sword and strikes at the chains once more, and for a split second, it looks like he just destroyed the dimension. But things go back to normal, and the chains are cut in half. The girl is released and begins falling to the ground, so Kai catches her, and as soon as she opens her eyes, she gets startled and flies away from Kai, before yelling for someone called Vanessa to show herself. She says she wants a rematch with Vanessa, and it's not fair for her to send a wimpy demon to assassinate her. However, before Kai can explain that he's not a demon, Rin has already begun attacking him because she hates demons. He manages to roll out of the way of the first attack, but he can't do the same for the second energy blast Rin sends his way. He's starting to regret helping her after all. But as the blast is heading straight for him, he recalls something the system mentioned about the code holder being able to sever fate itself. So he takes the code holder and uses it to slash the magic ball in half. The magic disappears, much to the surprise of Kai, and Rin can't believe it either since a lowly demon would never be able to block her attack. Kai finally tells her that he's not a demon, and he has no idea where she got that idea from since he has no wings or tail, so he's clearly human. Rin realizes her mistake, so she apologizes for mistaking him for a demon and attacking him out of nowhere. But she happens to really hate demons, so it's always straight violence on sight whenever she meets one. Since she hates demons as well, Kai at least has confirmation that she's not a demon, but he still doesn't know what race she is, so he asks her. So she begs Kai not to ask her about it. Kai agrees to drop the subject about her race for now, but he still has other questions he would like to ask, like where the hell they are. Unfortunately, Rin has no idea what this place is either. All she remembers is that she was fighting Vanessa, and all of a sudden, she found herself in prison here. Kai recognizes the name and asks if Rin is referring to the same Vanessa that's the hero of demons, and Rin confirms it. He is surprised Rin would pick a fight with a hero, so he asks if she is really that strong, and in response, Rin proudly states that she could wipe out an entire army of demons on her own if she wanted, but from what she has seen, Kai is equally as impressive as her since he was able to stop her attacks. She asks how he managed to pull it off, so Kai is about to tell her about his sword, but just then, he notices a portal behind Rin, which a hideous monster emerges from. The monster says something about the Fate Singularity entity having awakened, and since it poses a great threat to the new world, it will commence protocol to remove it. The monster attempts to strike Rin down, but Kai pulls her to safety at the last second. The power of this monster is no joke, so Kai says he and Rin have no choice but to run, and Rin agrees, so he grabs her hand and they both flee. Unfortunately, they don't know where the exit is, and the monster still has access to the portal, so it reaches its tentacle into the portal and grabs Rin. With this, it declares that it has captured the singularity, so it begins the termination protocol and forms several orbs to erase Rin from existence. Kai can't bear to see this, so he decides to quit standing there and take action to save Rin. He uses the golden sword again, and with it he slices the monster's tendril in half, while also doing significant damage to the dimension. The monster spots him and recognizes that he is holding the forbidden sword, but doesn't understand why the sword is here, or how a human could have gotten their hands on it. Since Rin is free now, Kai doesn't plan on seeing a reason to stick around to find out what the monster is going to do, so he grabs Rin and jumps through the hole in the dimension, leading them back to the graveyard on Earth. Kai is a bit confused, but he is glad they managed to escape in one piece, and Rin is so especially relieved since she was really scared she would die. This is the first time anyone has ever cared enough to help her. Since her entire life, she has been told by all the other races that she is not one of them. However, of all the races, demons were the cruelest to her, always calling her an abomination, which is why Rin got into a huge fight with Vanessa. Kai comforts her and says he knows how she feels since all his friends no longer remember him, so he feels like he is all alone in the world. The history he remembers is one where humans won the Great War of the 5 races, but in this world, it seems demons are occupying the human cities. Rin is a bit confused since she doesn't recall demons ever gaining the upper hand against humans. In fact, right around the time she fought with Vanessa, she recalls that humans were starting to win the war and the demons were complaining that it was all because of the human hero. Kai gets excited and asks if Rin remembers Sid, but she unfortunately never got to meet him, so she can't say for certain. Kai realizes he may have overreacted, so he apologizes to Rin, but at least he has confirmed that he and Rin recall the same past, so they must be the same. Rin gets close to Kai and says that he's the first person to ever group himself with her, and it makes her pretty happy. They both leave the graveyard a little while later, and Rin asks Kai what he plans to do now. But before he can give his answer, Rin collapses to the ground in exhaustion. Kai is worried and assumes it must be because of the attack she suffered earlier, so he helps her up and says he plans on going back to the city since he doesn't have anywhere to go, so he invites her to stay with him while he's there. Rin is hesitant to agree since she says she doesn't want to go to a human city, so Kai asks why and she tells him that she can't trust other people. Kai is the only one she is willing to trust since he saved her, so he says that she should trust that he will keep her safe, and once again asks her to come with him. She is always free to leave if she ends up feeling uncomfortable there, so Rin ultimately agrees to go with him. Back in his room, Kai is lying on his bed while Rin has his shower, and he is absolutely exhausted from the drive back home. Rin had never been in a car before, so she was freaking out the entire time and nearly made him crash a bunch of times. Fortunately, she is able to hide her wings, so once they got here, no one could tell that she isn't human, but she still draws a lot of attention with her weird behavior. She even tried to fight some people with magic at one point, so Kai had to hold her back. But he can understand why she is so cautious since she is surrounded by people she's not familiar with. Kai then shifts his attention to his sword as he hadn't even realized when it turned back to normal, so he grabs it and is about to say code holder to see if he'll transform again. But before he can do that, Rin comes running out of the shower and asks him for help since she can't figure out how to turn off the shower. Kai says he will help her, but for now he can't look at her since she's not wearing any clothes. After the shower is turned off, Rin has gotten dressed and tells Kai that she thinks it's unfair how humans get all the good stuff. Even with the state of human society, they still have such warm water to shower with, while Rin had to bathe in a waterfall. And humans also have such soft beds too, but on the surface, everything was destroyed, so she realizes Kai wasn't joking when he said the city had been occupied by demons. Kai had been skeptical at first, but meeting Rin has confirmed that he's not crazy, so he now knows for sure that they are in a world where the results of the Great Race War were altered. The correct history is the one where Sid became the hero of the humans, but in this reality he never existed for some reason. Rin suggests that they just need to escape this reality and make their way back to the old one. And that's indeed a solution to their problem, but Kai doesn't know if there's actually a way to do that. They go to bed after that, but late into the night, Rin jolts awake and warns Kai that she senses strong magic, meaning the demons are attacking. Outside, the demons have just torn their way through the city ceiling and are beginning to go on a rampage. Kai had already known that humanity was screwed in this reality, but he didn't realize that humans were this helpless against demons and there's no hero around to save them either, so Kai decides that he needs to step up and take the place of Sid for humanity's sake. The defense units begin firing bullets at the demons, but they already know little bullets aren't going to do anything to help, so Saki runs off to go get the machine gun. However, before she can get to it, a demon pulls up behind her and is about to fire a spell at her. But at the last second, Kai jumps in to save her and knocks the demon to the floor. He tells Saki that she should use water against the demons since if their bodies absorb it, they'll become too heavy to fly, and once they are grounded, she should hit them with some grenades. Just then, Kai mimesis Ashran getting turned to stone by a demon, so he fires an anti-magic bullet to interrupt the spell and save his life. The demon proceeds to target Kai and tries to hold him down while another demon comes up behind him to attack. However, Kai slips past him and pushes the first demon away, while Rin blasts the second one. Afterward, Kai thanks Rin for the assist and compliments her on her strength, but even with their combined power, he's not sure they can save the city on their own. Ashran and Seki come running up to Kai and ask him how he was destroying magic with bullets and knocking demons around with his fists. Kai explains to them that he came from a world where humanity won the race war and his fighting technique, along with his special bullets, all come from that world. Saki and Ashran still don't believe Kai is serious about there being an alternate timeline, but before they can ask more questions, Ashran gets a message informing him that 2 demon scouts managed to escape, and if they report back to their leader about the location of this underground city, a whole army of demons are going to show up here and kill off every last human. Ashran says he needs to go report this to the rebel army headquarters, and Saki asks Kai to join them in heading there since his strength makes him a valuable asset, so Jean is sure to welcome him. Kai agrees to join them, so they all head for the headquarters located in the old royal capital. The place was destroyed years ago, but that's precisely why they chose to build their headquarters there since demons wouldn't think to search for them. The one who suggested the location was Jin's father, but he retired as the head of the rebel army 2 years ago due to an injury, so Jin took his place. They soon arrive at HQ and both Kai and Rin are brought to meet Jane. She has already received the reports from Ashran, so she asks Kai to tell her about this alternate timeline he mentioned earlier. Kai tells her everything he knows, but the other officials there call him a liar for daring to make such a bold claim. However, Kai mentions how he was childhood friends with Jean in the previous timeline, and how she always wanted to be like Og and Jur. Hearing those names catches Jin's attention, but she doesn't say anything yet and decides to end the meeting for today. Later that night, Jean asks to meet with Kai, and it looks like she is a little more open to the idea that Kai might have been telling the truth since very few people in this world know that she is a woman and the names Og and Jur were the nicknames of her father and grandfather. However, that doesn't mean she believes everything he said, but his combat skills and knowledge are worth relying on. She tells Kai about a plan she has to coordinate with the other human cities and repel the demons that will be coming to invade Neo-Vashel, but Rin doesn't think that's a good idea since that would only cause more and more demons to attack as time went on. Plus, if a high-ranking demon were to show up, then the whole plan would instantly fail. Jean is aware it's a reckless plan, but she can't think of anything better to protect the homes of the surviving humans. However, that's when Kai suggests that they only need to go after one demon to resolve this, and that's the hero of demons, Vanessa. Jean thinks it's crazy to even consider attacking a demon as powerful as Vanessa, but Kai is confident that the code holder will be able to work against her, so he says he and Rin will be the ones to challenge Vanessa. The demons are more focused on fighting the other races, so most of their forces won't be at Vanessa's side. All Kai needs is for Jean and her forces to hold off the rest of the demons while he engages Vanessa, so after Jean agrees to it, they immediately begin preparation to reclaim the Urza Federation. As preparations for the mission are being made, we hear a bit of Rin's inner thoughts, and while this world's current condition is due to a race war, she is the most racist of them all. She hates all the races for different reasons, with demons being deceitful, celestials being stubborn, and humans being weak. But most of all, she hates herself since she's part of every race. Kai is the only one who didn't reject her for her complicated Ancestry.com results, so she really hopes that Kai doesn't die on this mission. Once everything is ready, the team heads out and goes over the plan one last time. While the main force is tasked with stalling the rest of the demons, this squad will invade the palace through the underground network and defeat Vanessa, while also freeing any human captives they find. Stacky isn't worried about the main force since they should be alright with Jean leading them. What she's really worried about is that their team is meant to go up against the demon hero Vanessa, and there's only 4 of them on this team too. Kai explains that the team is small so they can minimize travel time, and Saki understands that, but she still doesn't understand why she has to be here. Kai understands that she's scared, but she and Ashran are the only ones he can trust to be his backup. Rin tries to comfort Saki and says everything will be alright since she is strong, so she would never lose to anyone weaker than Vanessa. But considering the fact that Rin lost her last battle with Vanessa, that didn't sound very reassuring. Rin says it's alright since this time she'll do whatever it takes to defeat Vanessa, even if she has to self-destruct to take her out, but that still doesn't make Saki feel better. While Saki has been freaking out in the back, Ashran admits that he is really worried as well since there's a lot of things they aren't sure about. They have no idea what state the government palace will be once they arrive. And it's also possible that they get spotted by demons before they ever manage to get there. Kai reassures Ashran that the demons won't be able to find them so easily since they're only sensitive to magic and humans don't possess any magical abilities. Knowing that makes him feel a little better, even if he's still nervous, but he can at least look forward to the glory he will get if they manage to defeat the demons. After a few minutes, the convoy has gotten close to their destination, so Jean addresses everyone and thanks them for standing to fight for the sake of humanity. She knows some of them may be concerned about their chances of success since this plan was made last minute, but with how long humanity has been fighting against the demons, today is the first time they had a clear path to victory. So this is the day humanity makes its last stand. The group charges out of the tunnel and blows a hole open leading to the surface. As they continue to charge, Kai is shocked to see that the government palace is in terrible condition and surrounded by dozens of demons. The demons finally notice the humans, so one casts a freeze spell to try and stop them. But Kai already knows how to deal with that spell, so he leaps over the ice and fires a bullet to disrupt the demon's casting, before using the gun to blow the demon up. That's one down, but there are still many more being summoned by the minute, so Kai turns to Rin, and they agree to work together to take out all the demons. Kai points his gun upwards while Rin uses her magic to give him some extra power, and the resultant blast is powerful enough to strike down all the demons outside the palace. Everyone is impressed that Kai was able to take out so many demons at once, but they got to continue with the plan, so Kai says he and the others will begin searching for Vanessa from the top floor, while Jean assigns the remaining troops to guard the entrance to the government palace and rescue any hostages being kept here. As Kai's group is climbing to the first floor, Fallon is starting to get suspicious, since that lighting attack he just did seemed a little too powerful to have come from his gun alone. Almost as if it was amplified by magic, and she's about to accuse Rin of being the source of that magic, but Jean interrupts and reminds her that Kai and Rin are going to fight Vanessa for their sake, so this isn't the time to be questioning them. As they get closer to the top, Rin spots an imp in the middle of summoning a large demon, and it was already too late to stop it as the demon appears next to them and grabs one of the team members. Fallon jumps in to save the guy by chopping the demon's fingers to pieces. She tells the others that she will hold the demon off, so they should go on ahead without her. She promises that she will catch up once she has defeated the demon, and since they don't have time to waste, Jean agrees and says they should meet back up on the top floor. As the team makes it to the top floor, a bolt of lightning is fired at Jean and she is unable to dodge it, so she gets electrocuted to death. Or at least that's what it looked like. But as the smoke clears, Jean is perfectly fine, and it's all thanks to the elven armor she is wearing. She acquired it some years ago from an elf village, and when it comes to magic resistance, this armor is one of the best suits in the world. And since Jean is able to withstand the demon's attacks, she tells Kai that he can go on ahead to find Vanessa while she handles this guy. As Kai and the others make it to the next corridor, they all put on special armbands to help keep them hidden from the demons up ahead. Rin made these using her barrier magic, but since Ashran and Saki don't know that she's not completely human, she makes up a lie and says the armbands were made by a human instead to mimic an angel's barrier magic. The group proceeds to walk down the hall, but a moment later, a huge Reno demon walks out into the hallway and Saki is scared shitless, so she was about to fire a bullet at it even though she knows it wouldn't have done much. However, Rin tells her to put the gun down and wait a minute, and to Saki's relief, the demon walks past without noticing them. After that, they make their way to the breaker room where Saki and Ashran will be stationed as Kai's contingency plan. He's going to face Vanessa and he hopes to defeat her, but in the event that he can't manage it, their job is to turn off all the lights in the building so everyone can escape to fight another day. Rin tells them that if they stay quiet in here, and no demons should be able to find them, so they don't need to worry about fighting for now. They wish Kai and Rin luck, but as the two are making their way to the next floor, they suddenly hear an alarm being set off. They have no idea what's going on since the barrier magic should still be active, so there's no way the demons can see them. But then Kai realizes that it's probably the infrared security system of the building that detected them. Since the demons know they are here, they run to the next room when they are confronted by the demon general. The two of them immediately get into battle stance, and upon noticing Rin's wings, the demon takes a moment to let Rin know that he thinks her wings are disgusting. Kai steps in front of her and asks the demon if it was the one who restored the building's surveillance system. But the demon says it was actually Vanessa's idea. She was impressed with how well the security system worked, so she decides to have their human slaves maintain it so the demons could use it for themselves. In all honesty, Vanessa was quite pleased with the fact that the humans decides to invade today since she was growing quite bored, and she's curious to know why they decided to do something as stupid as attack the demon's base of operations. Kai asks if the demon would be willing to take him to Vanessa, but the demon intends to kill Kai and Rin for its own enjoyment. Kai is ready for a fight, but before he gets the chance to do anything, Rin grabs him by the arm and flies him past all the demons before throwing him over to the next passageway. She then seals the path with ice and tells Kai not to worry since she will catch up to him once she is done with these demons. Kai hates the idea of leaving Rin behind, but he agrees to go on without her as long as she promises to make it out alive. Rin then turns to the demons and they say they can smell the scent of an angel coming from her, but also that if an angel, elf, dwarf, dragon, and every other race you can think of. They ask what kind of messed up family tree made someone like her, but Rin has no idea what she is or how she came to be this way. But what she does know is that she hates the demons, and the only person she cares about right now is Kai. So if the demons are going to stand in the way of her being with Kai, then she will show them no mercy. On Kai's end, he has just arrived at Vanessa's throne room where she's been eagerly waiting for some entertainment, and at the same time, Jean and her team are still busy trying to take out that demon, but her sword attacks are proving to be ineffective, so as the demon flings her away and tries to burn her to ash, Jean takes some drastic measures and unlocks the true form of her sword and turning it into an elven bow, which she uses to strike the demon down. This time, her attack was effective, but it left her weakened since when elven magic items are used by a human who isn't capable of magic, it will chip away at her life force. Jean knows the risks involved in using it, but she is willing to give up her life for the sake of defeating demons. And besides, what she has had to deal with is nothing compared to Kay's job since he has to fight Vanessa. Just then, another demon crashes into the room from the ceiling, but before it can strike Jean, Fallon returns from her fight and knocks it away. Fallon fights with swords made of drake fangs, which is why she is able to contend with the strength of the demons. The troops outside are currently keeping the rest of the demons from making it inside the palace, but there's a limit to how long they can hold out, so everything depends on Kai's battle with Vanessa. Vanessa asks if Kai would be willing to put down his gun and give up right away. Most people would be surprised to learn that the strongest demon is a succubus, and since she was getting pretty bored, she offers to ride Kai's stick shift to pass the time. Kai immediately refuses, and Vanessa finds him amusing since most men would have folded on the spot after hearing her offer. She had heard that the human rebels had a commander who used elven armaments, so she wonders if Kai is that person, but Kai corrects her and says he's an outsider who came from a world where Vanessa was defeated. Vanessa doesn't believe him at first, but Kai doesn't look like he's lying, so she asks him which race defeated her in his world. She was expecting to hear something like the dragons, but Kai tells her that it was humans who killed her in his world. Vanessa finds this hilarious, so she starts laughing hysterically. You may not be able to see it, but the animation budget was well spent on some very necessary jiggle physics. She asks who was the human capable of killing her, so Kai tells her it was a human named Sid, and as soon as he says that name, memories start flooding Vanessa's mind from the previous timeline, including her knowledge about the code holder and world reincarnation, but a few seconds later, she goes back to normal and decides to kill Kai once and for all. She begins casting a spell, but Kai uses his gun to interrupt it and closes the distance to slash her across the chest, but it turns out to have all been an illusion as Vanessa appears behind him and attempts to blast Kai. Kai manages to escape, and Vanessa is impressed by his reaction speed, as well as his weapon since it is capable of disrupting her magic and can produce a force equal to that of a dragon's breath. But that doesn't change a thing since she's still going to kill Kai, and to do that she casts a Devastation Purgatory Flame spell that nearly turns Kai to ash. He managed to survive that one, but the next spell Vanessa starts casting is an area of effect spell, so there's no way anyone who isn't a hero would be able to survive it. However, after she casts the spell, Kai is still standing, all thanks to the code holder. Just then, Kai hears Rin yell for him to stand back, and in the next moment, Vanessa gets struck by lightning. Rin defeated those demons, although it left her pretty badly wounded, but she was so worried about Kai that she rushed over as soon as possible to help him. Kai is worried about her, but they've still got to deal with Vanessa for now, so they prepare for their fight, but unexpectedly, that monster from earlier shows up and grabs Vanessa. It says Vanessa has been corrupted after hearing the taboo word Sid, so is going to erase her code from the world. After seeing it, Vanessa finally remembers Last Riser, and as she is about to get erased, she uses all of her power to break free and blast the monster into oblivion. The monster survives, but it goes. I have made a miscalculation, I ain't built for this, so have a nice day. Kai is shocked by the level of power Vanessa just displayed, so he asks Rin if she was really able to hold her own against someone as strong as Vanessa. But the last time Rin fought her, Vanessa was nowhere near as strong as she is now. Rin knows they stand no chance against her, so before Vanessa attacks, she flies in and tackles her, while telling Kai to run away because she won't be able to hold Vanessa for long. Rin casts a shadow prison barrier around herself and Vanessa to buy time, and while Vanessa recognizes this as the barrier magic of the spirits, is far too weak to hold up against her. Rin gets flung away by the force of Vanessa destroying the barrier, but before Vanessa can finish her off, Kai begins to charge forward to attack. Since he's got her attention, she directs her blast at him instead, and while Kai did manage to block a majority of the damage, he still looks pretty dead to me. Rin can't believe she let Kai get killed, and Vanessa mockingly asks her if she intends to try and avenge Kai's death, or maybe she'll run away on her own. Rin is sick and tired of hearing Vanessa's voice, so she's going to do everything in her power to make sure Vanessa pays for this. As Rin unleashes her full power, her body transforms, displaying characteristics of all the 5 races. Vanessa finds this amusing, but Rin isn't playing games anymore and gut punches the smile off Vanessa's face. In this form, it looks like Rin is able to match Vanessa's power and knock her around, but evidently, Vanessa was just messing with her. She finds Rin's chaotic form truly interesting, but she wonders why Rin didn't use it earlier since that way. She might have actually been able to buy enough time for Kai to escape. She asks if Rin was afraid to show her true nature or maybe afraid that she would be called a monster. Rin begins to cry, but Vanessa reminds her that she has no one here to blame but herself. Vanessa is the demon hero, so she's going to do what she wants. But Rin had the chance to save Kai, and she chose not to go all out of fear, so it's her hesitation that killed Kai. As much as Rin hates to admit it, Vanessa is right, it's her fault that Kai is dead, but that doesn't matter anymore. Nothing she does will be able to bring Kai back to life, so right now, she just wants to die. And she's taking Vanessa with her. She grabs Vanessa's hand so she can place a curse on her. And before Vanessa realizes what's going on, droplets begin leaking from her skin. These blood droplets are Vanessa's life force, and no amount of defense or resistance can defend against it. The drops will continue to fall until Vanessa and Rin both die, so under normal circumstances, this would be checkmate for Vanessa, but she still had one trick left up her sleeve. In the next moment, Rin collapses to the floor, and Vanessa explains that even though the curse can't be defended against, its effectiveness is still dependent on the magical power of the caster. Rin normally would have had enough magic to pull it off, but they are currently in Vanessa's base, so she had certain countermeasures ready in case she was ever attacked by another race, which is why there's a wide-scale curse circle behind Vanessa that affects spirits, magical beasts, and celestials. Since Rin is part of all 3, the curse should be 3 times as effective against her, so it's honestly insane that Rin managed to hold out this long. Rin now can't even avenge Kyle as she wanted to, so she just sits there and says she is sorry for not being useful to him. Vanessa is growing annoyed by Rin's pitiful display, so she prepares to finish her off with one final blast. However, before Rin could be killed, the blast was deflected by Kai, who turns out to be alive after all. He tells Rin that she has nothing to be sorry for, and that she was incredibly useful to him since her fight with Vanessa bought him enough time to regain consciousness. Rin can hardly believe that Kai is alive, and neither can Vanessa, so she asks him how he managed to survive that attack since no human should be alive after that. Kai recalls how he used the code holder to defend himself against Blast, which makes this the second time the code holder has saved his life in this fight. However, he doesn't say anything about it to Vanessa and just gets into stance to face her. Vanessa feels insulted that Kai would dare to challenge her, so she reminds him that he is nothing more than a piece of trash that survived her attack by luck. Her last attack left him on the verge of death, and the only reason she couldn't finish him off was because Rin was keeping her busy. Kai responds that the reason he is so determined to win is because Rin risked her life for his sake, so he's going to do the same for her. Vanessa is now intrigued and asks Kai if he has some sort of plan in mind for how he will defeat her because she would very much like to see what he's got. Humans keep telling her they will show her what human potential can do, but not once has she actually been impressed by a human. The spirit hero, the celestial hero, and the beast hero are all nuisances that get in her way, but at least she can respect them for being powerful. However, when it comes to humans, there is no one whom she can respect among them unless Kai claims to be strong enough to be humanity's hero. Kai tells her that he has no intention of becoming humanity's hero, but she did ask him to show her the potential of a human, so he's going to show her just how powerful a human can be. From this moment forward, he will be facing Vanessa as a representative of humanity, and although Vanessa can't imagine anything he could possibly do to beat her, she decides to take him seriously, so she uses her magic to summon a mini meteor to crush Kai. However, Kai is easily able to slice it to pieces with the help of the code holder. Vanessa is impressed that Kai is able to slice through her magic so easily, but she is still far from done, so she begins casting hundreds of Hellflame spells. But while she's doing this, Kai calls Ashran and tells him to cut the power immediately, so all the lights in the building go out. Vanessa realizes that she can't see even though she's got a literal flame on her shoulder, and since Kai doesn't have any magic, so she won't be able to sense him either. However, even if the human has no magic, the sword is full of magical energy, so she just targets the sword with her Hellflame attack. However, as the dust settles, she is shocked to discover that Rin was the one holding the code holder, and Kai is already behind her. From here, all the years Kai spent training finally come in handy, so he combo locks Vanessa and has Rin throw his sword over to him so he can finish Vanessa off. And the only thing Vanessa says as she is about to be sliced is, "I guess I lost. Good game, human." As Vanessa falls to her knees, her body begins to break apart from the damage she has taken. Rin and Kai can tell that there's something wrong with Vanessa, and this is when Vanessa's memories finally manage to return to her. She now recalls everything about Sid and the world reincarnation. She couldn't believe she let herself fall victim to it when Sid warned her that something like this would happen. After hearing that Vanessa knows about Sid, Kai begins asking her to tell him everything she knows. She tells Kai of a phenomenon which Sid called the world reincarnation. Someone caused this reincarnation to occur and alter the course of history, so Kai has to go and find this person, as it is bound to be one of the other three heroes. Sid had foreseen the world reincarnation, which is why he entrusted Vanessa with his sword to ensure that it wouldn't get stolen by the enemy. It is the one and only key to correcting the alterations made to this world. Kai asks why Vanessa and Sid would be working together when they are meant to be enemies, but while Vanessa did fight with Sid once, Sid earned her respect as a strong fighter and worked together. There's a lot about the previous reality that Kai doesn't know about, so Vanessa warns him to watch out for the Zero Code because it is magic that is incredibly troublesome to deal with. Aside from that, she tells Kai that he did well against her and she was really impressed with him. From his plan to utilize the darkness to his courage and combat skill. She is now sure that this is what Kai meant by human spirit, but she still feels incredibly frustrated for losing to him like this. She can't make excuses, but she would love to face Kai again. So she tells him that if they ever meet again, she's going to have a lot more fun with him. Kai is at a loss for words after what Vanessa just told him, but the exhaustion from the fight soon catches up to him, so Kai ends up falling to his knees, but he is relieved that he actually managed to defeat Vanessa after all. The news that Vanessa has been defeated spreads to all the human survivors, and before long, they've all gathered back at the Urza Foundation to begin reclaiming it. Things are finally looking up for the humans, but while everyone is happy with humanity's latest victory, Kai is still lost in thought about what his next move will be. Rin asks him if something is wrong, and he says he had thought something happened to the two of them, which was why they were the only ones who remembered the old world. But if he is to believe what Vanessa said, then it's actually the opposite, which is true. The world around them got changed, and they were the only ones who remained the same. Rin says she wants things to go back to the way they were since she thinks this world is really scary, and Kai agrees with her, but he still has no idea how they'll change everything back. Just then, Jin comes up to Kai and Rin, and she wants to express her gratitude to them. It may be in ruins right now, but the only reason the humans have been able to reclaim their city is because of Kai and Rin's efforts. That's why she wants to thank them on behalf of the rebel army. However, she can't help but notice that Kai and Rin don't seem very happy despite their victory. Kai tells her that he is actually pretty relieved that he won since he doubts he could beat Vanessa if he ran into her again. Now that Vanessa is gone, humans can rebuild the city to how it was and maybe even better than it has ever been. But that is going to have to be handled by someone other than her. The people who were around when the Federation first fell to the demons would be much better suited to lead the restoration efforts, so she's not going to do it. But if she doesn't want to help rebuild, Kai and Rin ask her what she'll do instead. Jean explains that there are 3 other federations that were conquered by the other races, the Eo Federation, the Yulan Federation, and the Shoals Federation. Each one is currently under the control of one of the remaining races, and each one has a human rebel army fighting back against them. She plans to head over to help launch a large-scale operation to form a united rebel front. The news of Vanessa being defeated has already spread across the continent, and humans everywhere are more motivated than they have been in ages because of it. That is why Jean was hoping Kai and Rin would be willing to come with her and help the other rebel armies. If they work together, they may be able to accomplish the same thing the humans of Kai's original world did and get rid of all the other races. Jean will personally take command of the soldiers and lead them to ensure that Kai and Rin have every bit of support that they can offer, so she wants Kai to fight alongside them. Kai looks stunned for a moment, so Jean thinks it is important to mention that he will be adequately compensated for all this hero work. But it's not like Kai doesn't want to help humanity win the war, he was just thinking about how mature this version of Jean is. In his version of reality, Jean was an incredible person, but she also had a childish side to her. So she would do things like call him in the middle of training time, ask him out on shopping dates, and worry about her future with her friends, but it's hard to imagine this version of Jean doing those things. Kai agrees to join Jean in battling the other races and liberating humanity, so he extends his hand to Jean as a symbol of cooperation, and they shake hands on it. They then head down to the ground floor, and Jean addresses all the soldiers, asking if they have all gotten a good amount of rest, and they are all beaming with energy because this is the first time they've gotten to sleep without worrying about getting attacked by demons. They are all excited to have reclaimed Urza, and Jean informs them of the plan to reclaim the other federations. Meanwhile, Kai talks to Rin and tells her that he's going to put an end to the war of the 5 races himself. If this world doesn't have a Cid to save it, then he's going to have to step up and become humanity's hero instead. And while he is at it, he will find the person behind the world reincarnation and set the world back to normal. The group then set out for the EO Foundation to help the resistance there. But it's really cold, so along the way, Ashran ended up catching a cold. He's also feeling a bit frustrated that after all the work they did to reclaim the Urza Foundation, they didn't even get to enjoy their victory before they got sent out on their next mission. Saki tells him that he shouldn't be complaining since there are requests coming in from all over the country, and right now Jean and her team are humanity's only hope, so they need to do their part to help as much as possible. At the very least, Ashran can look forward to the idea that the royal capital in Urza would have been rebuilt by the time they return, as long as no demons attack it before they can get it fixed. Speaking of which, it's been 5 days since a recent incident occurred. Back at the Urza Foundation, while Kai and Rin were helping out with the cleanup, Rin suddenly began to sense a demon nearby, so she and Kai went to investigate. But as they entered the building, the demon's presence suddenly vanishes, so Rin realizes that this must be a trap and she tries to warn Kai, but it's too late as they had already been caught in a barrier. Just then, a demon appears above them and she recognizes Kai as the human who had defeated Vanessa, and she immediately fires a magic blast at him. Kai wastes no time in pulling out the code holder so he can deflect the attack. However, while he was distracted, the demon girl sneaks up behind him and tries to take him out, but at the last second, Rin intervenes and flings her away. Once there is some distance between them, Kai asks to know what the demon girl's intentions are, but she says she just wanted to greet the human who killed her sister. She introduces herself as Himmerl the succubus, and Kai is feeling the same terrifying aura he felt from Vanessa. When Himmerl heard that Vanessa has been defeated, she had to come to see the human who was powerful enough to take her out. Although, now that she's met Kai, she assumes he must have only managed to defeat Vanessa through a series of lucky events. She's also sure that if all 3 siblings were there, he probably wouldn't have won the battle. Kai asks if Himmerl is here to get revenge for her sister's death, but while Himmerl did love Vanessa, she's not willing to go as far as getting revenge for her sake. With Vanessa gone, she's officially the demon's #1 hero, and unlike Endeavor, she's happy being promoted by technicality, so she's actually grateful to Kai for killing Vanessa, which is why she hasn't really come to fight today. She's here to make a deal with him. She first makes it clear that if she ordered all the demons to gather here, they could easily wipe out Kai, along with all the other humans, and reclaim the capital, but she is currently choosing not to do that, which is why she wants a truce with Kai. Essentially, it would be too much of a hassle for her to gather the demons to attack the capital again, and even if she did, she would be leaving herself vulnerable to attacks from the other races. However, she has some conditions for this ceasefire. The humans can keep the capital, but they must leave all other territories that are owned by demons alone. Kai doesn't like the idea of making a deal with Himmerl, but he says he will pass the message on to Jean. With the mutual truce being agreed upon, Himmerl asks if they can stop being so hostile towards her now, but Rin makes it very clear that they are still enemies regardless of whatever deals they may have agreed to. Himmerl has accomplished what she came here to do, but before leaving, she mentions that Kai is still free to attack the other races as much as he likes, and in fact, she encourages him to do so because it would take a lot of work off her plate if he does. With that, she floats into the air and leaves Kai and Rin to get back to their business, but she stops for a moment to inform them that she will be heading to the realm of the Celestials soon, and she also warns Kai to be careful, because the hero of heaven, Alfrea, has been acting really strange lately. Kai doesn't feel good about trusting Himmerl's word, but right now, he has to leave the reconstruction efforts to the people at the royal capital since he is on the expedition team. For now, he intends to just focus on taking down the Celestials and liberating EO Foundation. The term Celestials refers to the alliance of races including elves, dwarves, fairies, and angels, and they are every bit as cowardly and cunning as humans are, but they are capable of creating powerful magic tools to aid them in battle. So if demons are seen as monsters, and Celestials could be considered enhanced humans. Just then, Jean makes a radio announcement to everyone on the squad and tells them that they will soon be passing the halfway point on their journey to EO, and there's an old radio stop along the way, so she says they can all take a break there and rest before they arrive. Ashran is glad to finally get a break from all this driving, but just when he was finally starting to relax, Rin senses something from above, so she warns Kai, and he looks up to spot a dragon heading straight for them. Once Jin is informed of this, she orders all drivers to move at full speed, while the others will engage with the dragon. They open fire on it, but the dragon's scales are far too tough for their guns to do any real damage, so the dragon manages to get in close and swipe a couple of the cars off the road. Once Kai and Rin finally get into position to attack, Rin prepares a powerful lightning spell, and Kai pretends that he's the one who shot it in order to keep Rin's magical abilities a secret. The lightning blast strikes the dragon, and it looks like it was enough to do some significant damage. While it still didn't kill the dragon, it scared it enough that it decided to leave on its own. Once the threat has passed, Jean grabs a radio and orders all units to halt so they can rescue the people from the cars that got swagged off the road. Luckily, there were no casualties, so the unit set up camp for the night. Kai and Rin get a huge tent to themselves, and Kai feels a bit bad about getting special treatment even though he and Rin were the undisputed MVPs of the team. Also, he reminds Rin that there's a tent section for the women in the unit. But Rin refuses to leave since she wants to stay by Kay's side. Just then, she senses Jean coming this way, and sure enough, a moment later, Jean and Fallon enter the tent. Kai is a bit surprised since he doesn't know what Jean is doing here, but Jean reminds her that this is technically her tent as the commanding officer, and she just brought Kai and Rin here to act as her bodyguards. Fallon gets Kai's attention and asks him to step outside because she would like to have a discussion with him. Outside the tent, Fallon tells Kai that she's going to be standing guard outside this tent all night since Jean is pretending to be a man, and it would be seen as scandalous for Jean to share a tent with a woman like Fallon. Long story short, she tells Kai not to try anything funny while she's not there, but Kai never intended to do anything of the sort in the first place. He heads back into the tent and he sees Jean receiving a massage from Rin, and she's really enjoying it after having to wear such heavy armor all day. Kai takes his seat and mentions how he never expected a mythical beast to attack within the Urza Foundation area, and it's possible that the dragon may have been a scout, which was sent to investigate the humans that defeated Vanessa. If that's the case, then the royal capital might be in danger of being attacked. However, Jean assures Kai that measures have been taken at the capital, so even if a dragon attacked them, they wouldn't be taken down so easily. That aside, there's one other thing she wants to mention before they go to bed, so she tells Kai that she tends to toss and turn in her sleep, and she apologizes in advance for it. Later that night, Kai is lying in bed, and he has Rin clinging to him on one side, while Jean is clinging to him on the other side, and it is taking every ounce of willpower in Kai's body to not give in. The next morning, everyone gets back on the road, and Ashrin notices that Kai looks like he didn't manage to get any sleep at all last night, but Kai doesn't want to talk about it. As they continue to drive, Rin notices a structure outside in the mount, so she asks Saki about it, and Saki tells her that it's the border wall that divides the federations. They will soon be crossing the border, so Jean radios in and tells everyone that their destination will be 8th City, Cassiopeia, which is just outside Eo's capital. As they approach the city, Saki is put on lookout duty, and she says it's important to strike first if they encounter any Celestials, since guns actually work on them. Kai reminds her that she probably shouldn't be so trigger-happy since humans and Celestials look really similar, so she might end up shooting the wrong person if she's not careful. They soon arrive at the location where the human resistance is hiding out, and they'll need to continue on foot from here on out, so they all get out of the cars and begin walking. As they walk, Rin comes up to Kai and tells him that she found some really tasty fruit to eat. Kai tells her she shouldn't eat random fruit she finds, but Rin says it's really delicious, although it does make her tongue feel a little numb. The group eventually makes it to the camp of the Resistance, and they are greeted by all the humans there. The front gate opens, and the Resistance's general comes out to greet the group as well. He introduces himself as Zephin, and he is honored to meet Jean in person. The news of the defeat of Vanessa has inspired them not to give up hope, so they are really glad to have Jean's team here. Zephin then turns to Fallon, and he is glad that he lived long enough to reunite with her despite them fighting so far apart from each other, and likewise, Fallon is happy to see that her old master is still alive and kicking. Moving on to business, Jean asks to be taken to see the commander of the rebellion here, so Zephin tells her to follow him so he can lead her to Dante. However, before they get there, Zephin asks Fallon if she knows anything about Dante. From what she has heard, Dante is a descendant of the old royal family of Io, and chooses to refer to himself as emperor. He is also really jealous and suspicious of everyone around him, so it is likely that he views Jean as a threat to his authority. Zephin tells her she is correct, and he asks Jean to please be tolerant of Dun's behavior because if nothing else, the soldiers here really appreciate her help. As they arrive at Dun's office, they are introduced to his vice commander, Kuberi, and she says that all requests made to Dant must go through her, but Rin notices something off about her, although she can't tell what it is exactly. Jean heads inside to meet with Dante, and Dante is immediately hostile towards her for trying to steal his glory. In fact, he never wanted Jean to come here in the first place, but the soldiers decided to ask for help on their own. Regardless of who it was that asked for help, Jean assumes that Dan doesn't like being under the control of the Celestials, which he confirms to be true. And if that's the case, then Jean is still going to lend her aid in any way possible. A strategy meeting is held where Jean is informed of the way the Io Foundation was divided after it was conquered by the Celestials. There are different regions which are controlled by the 4 subdivisions of the Celestials: the Fairy Hideout, the Dwarven Village, the Elven Forest, and the Angel Court. The only problem is that they don't know where the Celestial Hero is, so she asks Daunt to lend her some of his best soldiers, and she even offers to lead a search team personally. The fact that Jean is willing to risk her life alongside her subordinates makes the soldiers feel reassured, but Dante doesn't like all the praise she's getting. Later that night, Rin is brewing up some suspicious stew, but Saki and Ashran are fairly certain that this would kill them long before they find any Celestials, so Ashran changes the subject and starts talking about Kuberi. He thinks she was really pretty, but Rin still has a bad feeling about her. The next morning, Jin and the team arrive at the Elven Forest, and at the same time, Dante is busy complaining to Kuberi about Jin's decision to join the search team. He thinks it is utterly foolish for a commander to risk their life alongside the soldiers, and Kuberi knows he's being a bad commander, but she's enjoying every second as she's gaslighting him into thinking he's right and everyone else is wrong. After returning from the expedition, Jean didn't find the celestial hero, but she did manage to map out an area of the Elven Forest, so they are going to begin preparations for an invasion soon. Meanwhile, Kuberi manages to convince Daunt that he needs to send soldiers out to invade the Elven Forest as well in order to be superior to Jean, and he is going all in on the plan without any second thoughts. On the other side of the base, Rin reveals to Kai that she has finally figured out what was off about Kuberi. She isn't a human. At the same time, up in the Elven Fortress, the celestial hero Alfreya has just cut ties with the elves and claims that angels are the only race that matters. The elf leader doesn't know what could make him change his stance so abruptly because he had always been so kind to the other celestials. However, the reason for his change becomes apparent when we see the monster behind him. This was the end of episode 5. Subscribe to not miss the next part.